football coach William Beverley after his team's 28-14 win over the Denbigh Patriots here at Darling Stadium. The Bruins moved to 5-4 overall. And coach, looked like your defense, which was really the calling card and staple of your team last year, was the difference tonight. You held them to about 74 yards of offense in Denbigh, a team that can't throw the football very well. And it looks like offensively you guys concentrated on the running game using 4 or 5 different backs.
Yes, sir. I tell you, I'm fortunate to have such a great coaching staff. We got about 8 coaches on our varsity team, and I've been able to retain the majority of them from last year. So Coach Forward, who is my defensive coordinator, does an excellent job. Him and Coach Barker primarily does an excellent job to make sure that those kids are prepared weekly. We do a lot of film study, and we make sure that those kids understand the intricacies of each and every situation that we can be in. We don't have quite the talent that we had last year. We actually had several All-Americans on our defense in track. And so we had speed that made up for a lot of our errors. So this year we've been exposed a little bit, but we're starting to gel together. And kids are starting to figure out what their strengths are and what the weaknesses are, and the others are filling in where those weaknesses may be. Offensively, once again, I've been able to retain Coach Rollins, who is my offensive coordinator. Often, offense is usually tougher to try to get the gel together because they have to work in concert. It's a little bit harder, the timing. Everything has to work together. It's almost like your body. If your toe is hurting, then your foot's going to, be a little bit off. So we're still looking for a complete game. And I keep telling the kids it'll be scary if we can play a complete game offensively.
I was just chatting about that with Jeremiah Owusu, one of your headline players, along with Janaz Jordan, who was that bulldozer running back for you tonight. And you got Navarro Price back, a quarterback who's had a better year than a season ago. Yes. You have some weapons, those guys, Isaiah Sellers, Keyshawn Stormer, we'll get to in a moment, your running back who's coming on, the junior. But you had a bunch of yards. It seems like maybe about 300, 400 yards of offense. Could have had more points. It's just the potential's there, just haven't quite grasped all of it yet.
Yes, sir. You're exactly correct. The kids got to understand that when you're playing an opponent, they prepared just like you. So they're not going to lie down and allow you to take what they expect to take home as well, which is a victory. So we got to make sure that our kids understand how to close games out and how to basically, choke the opponent out. And I hate to be that figurative, but at the end of the day, you've got to make them submit. And we've not been able to do that to the degree that I would like to. This week we showed them a film of one of the previous teams that we beat. And we told them, this is who you are. And we can get back to that point. I won't reveal the team that we showed them, but if we can get back to that point, I think we'll be fine. And that's the great thing about it. We've not played a complete game. And once we do, I think we'll be fine.
I want to put the guessing game, but it might be a team that you could see in the playoffs that you beat this year.
Yes,
and, of course, one of the
sir.
best teams in the area, Hampton, you took to overtime if you're down double digits. Let's talk about Keyshawn Storm for a minute. 162 yards from scrimmage tonight. Really showed some pop for you guys. Offensively catching the ball, running the ball. 18 yards or more on 5 of his touches. Had the scary injury there with about 3 minutes to go. What's the update on him? Do you have any update?
We don't have an update. He's been transported to the hospital, and we're going to head over there in a few minutes. He had movement in both his hands and his feet, but he was weak. So hopefully it's a stinger, and we can, get him back in the next week or so. But the young man is a junior, strong, has a lot of natural gifts. We didn't have him the entire year, so we're looking forward to getting into the off season after the playoffs, and we expect fully to be in the playoffs and to go deep into the playoffs. Get him into the off season, get him stronger, faster, and he should be a terror for us next year on the field.
Last 2 for you. You had some guys step up on defense, like Javin Holmes-Reed was one of them.
Yes.
Tremont Washington, I think it is,
Yes,
number 22. The guy that sticks out, though, is Jeremiah Owusu. Well, he has the 2 receptions, 5 tackles, 3 for loss, a sack, a couple batted down passes. He plays with savvy.
Yes, sir.
He does interviews with savvy. He's just a smart young man
sir.
for you guys.
Yes, sir. We're fortunate to have all of these young men. We have a large senior class. But the 3 that you named really stand out. Washington was a transfer from North Carolina, so we haven't had a lot of time with him, but he is another young man that does a great job for us, and he's coming on. He's peaking at the right time.
Holmes-Reed's getting some looks, isn't he?
Holmes-Reed is probably, if I had to name a player's coach on defense, that's who he is. I'm expecting some great things from him. He's the editor of our newspaper at Bethel.
So he can take my job on that.
He may be after your job. Excellent kid, very thoughtful, very physical, and I love that kid. And Jeremiah, I tell you, I was was talking to the kids yesterday, and I said, you have kids that go to the next level, and then some get an opportunity to make it to the pros. I said, usually those kids are the hardest worker kids with the most talent. And, I don't want to, claim that for Jeremiah because I don't want to jinx him. But he does everything that we ask him to do. A lot of coaches ask me, what type of kid is he? If I could have and clone him, I would clone him in a minute. Very unselfish. He's trying to always help the coaches to get the kids in the right situation. And I can't say enough great things about him.
Final one, you got Gloucester next. No slouch. Years ago, that would have been a slouch, but
Yes,
they're dangerous as you guys want to get that win going into the playoffs.
Yes, sir. Gloucester, they are dangerous. Several of their coaches actually were on the Bethel staff, from what I understand, a few years ago. They're familiar with some of these kids, and they're also familiar with some of the things we've done. We played them last year, and I really have a lot of respect for their coaching staff. Their kids are buying into the program, and they're a dangerous opponent. We really respect them. We're going to go back and prepare as if this is a do-or-die playoff game, because it very well may be. So we expect to travel up there and to have a big crowd. We're going to prepare for that as well, and prepare for the ebbs and flows of what may go on in that game.
Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. My pleasure. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.